Good space time, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Citizen Web3 podcast, your source for educational insights into the Web3 universe and the connection hub to discovering those that contribute to building the decentralized world. Today, we are joined by Thomas from High Stakes. We touch upon selected networks, money vanishing, and GPUs. We talk about securing foundation delegations, getting involved in projects, and validator contributions. Finally, we discuss infrastructure quality, validator setups, and backend. If you enjoy our podcast, please share this episode to your favorite social platform to help us spread Web3 values across the universe.
I was a little pissed that for several years you couldn't buy a GPU because of all the miners. As a validation, you need to take into account multiple parameters, which are the quality of the infrastructure, but also the cost. A lot of people, would dismiss anyone with like you're just a hobo asking for money. So in a couple days, we saw like about $1 million that just vanished. So yeah, we're like, okay, so well, let's start again,
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Citizen Web3 podcast. Today, I have Thomas from High Stakes. And Thomas, hi. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay, thank you.
Glad to have you on. So before I'm going to go and start interrogating you. No, I'm kidding. Just normal, easy questions. Can you please, for myself, for the listeners, introduce yourself in a way that is appropriate to you? Tell me and the listeners all you want us to know about you and what are you working on maybe and how you got into Web3, if it's, of course, appropriate for you.
Yeah, sure. So as you said, I'm Thomas. I am one of the co-founders of High Stakes, and I guess could be considered as the CEO because I handle all the administrative stuff and legal, all that. But we are three in the company right now, and we all take the decisions, jointly. I don't impose my views, so just an honorary title. So iStakes is a registered company in Switzerland. We registered it in 2022. Yeah, that's it. Because essentially we had started validating Terra, the first one, and it was going great, really great, and it was generating a crazy amount of money. So we were like with Joe, my younger brother actually. We were like, we can't absorb these amounts of money. Personally, we need to create a company, which we did. So it was great until it wasn't so great. So we did the exact, same mistake than everyone, keeping all the Luna and UST because it was, gaining value. And so in a couple of days, we saw like about $1 million that just vanished. So yeah, we're like, okay, so well, let's start again, Fortunately, in the meantime, we had started other validators. We had entered persistence, band protocol, even injective Cosmos. So we had the resources, the ability to keep going. But of course, we had to review and put on hold our grander plans, which is so. Yeah, initially we decided to create this to go into the cryptocurrency. So we've both been interested in that on and off over the past years, and Joel had set up a validator on Terra, and he had also a day job. He's an IT engineer at a private bank in Geneva, so his days are pretty full. And for my part, I was a sales engineer in IT as well, and I was really bored out of my mind with that job. So he proposed me to join him and to handle the technical part and the development. So yeah, I was okay, let's do this. Yeah, no, honestly, I don't think I will ever go back to holding a regular job again, because I'm too used to being my own boss. So yeah.
Let me dig it a little bit. I'm gonna dig the story a little bit. So first of all, I'm curious. How did you? I mean, I understand like there was an opportunity that you guys saw, and then you took it on, and you were interested. But how were you around it? I mean, nobody just wakes up and goes, "Ah, yeah, I'm a fancy being a validator." I mean, what was the initial like? How did your crypto journey start? I mean, did you find out about Bitcoin, about Atom, about Ethereum, about, I don't know, Dogecoin, whatever? When did it happen? When was the switch before the validator?
Long ago, actually. Bitcoin, of course. We are both geeks, so basically we got involved with that. But I was always, put a little bit off by the proof of work mechanism, all the the energy consumption, which is, I know it's a more complex issue than that. But I also grown with video games, and I was a little pissed that for several years you couldn't buy a GPU because of all the miners, So when the proof of stake mechanism appeared, I was very interested in that. So yeah, of course we do own some Bitcoin as well, Ethereum and all that, but our primary business is really the Cosmos ecosystem. This is what we are good at, what we know, what we believe in.
And you mentioned you mentioned briefly, you said you are 3 people, and if I'm not mistaken, I usually don't like to go into vanity numbers, but this is quite impressive. So I'm going to ask not from terms of vanity, but from the perspective of success, in my opinion. I think your website currently says you have 85 million in TVL or TVS, whatever you prefer, total value secured, total value locked, staked with you. And you're currently 3 people. That is very impressive results.
Oh, yes. Well, we're still a very minor validator in this ecosystem. I guess we did pretty good. Of course, most of the TVL we have comes from foundation delegations. Can't make this up. But we are in a rather solid position today, after actually a couple years that were a bit complicated, particularly in Cosmos. We were like 175 to 180 in the active set, so it was very complicated. We had to inject more funds into this validator to remain afloat. But we have progressed a lot. So to us, this is just the beginning, really. We plan on really becoming, maybe the size of a podcast shoe or that kind of company. So the fact that I'm doing this full time helps a lot, because I can handle the infrastructure. I can get involved with new project. Be here, actually, exist. When you do that just as a side, as a hobby, well, you can't really be very present. So that's one advantage. Another thing is that our third member, Bruno, who joined us maybe a year and a half ago, he is a French CEO of his own IT company. It's a mid-sized company. I think there are 10 or 12 people in the south of France. So he has like 15 years of experience in managing a company. So it brings us a lot in terms of strategy, administration, all that. And he also provides his own resources. He has his own developers, like backend or mobile developers. We'll get to that a bit later. But he has iOS and Android developers that he can put to work on our own projects. So that's really a lot of help.
I mean, it's a very, like, I must say, from I've been speaking to validators for many years, to be honest, and it's a very, very impressive result, and it's good. It's good that you guys are doing that. And I have a question for you in that term. You mentioned foundations delegations. Why did you guys decide? I mean, usually, let me go step back here. Usually, a validator can choose either you work for retail, you work for foundations, or you work for whales. I guess that's the third option, right? And why did you decide to go for foundations? Was it something easier for you? Was it, I don't know, what was your reasoning to go this way? Because I can relate to that, but I'm curious, what's your reasoning here?
Actually, we don't focus on foundations.
Okay.
We do focus on retail. Our aim is actually to have as many small validators as possible. Whales are good, except when they go away, because that stings. Foundations were the fastest way of securing a position in an active set. In particular, for example, on injective, you cannot enter this chain anymore because it requires way too much money. So our strategy was to make ourselves useful, providing services, providing interfaces, tools, whatever, to the teams, so that in reward they will give us a delegation. I mean, it's the usual mechanism, everyone does that, but it's not the final objective to us. It's just a means to secure our spots. And while we have it, we have that, we can focus on getting more people to delegate with us.
I know it's kind of like a beat up question, but what's your, considering, you're what now, 4 years, I guess, in this 3.5, 4 years in this, and seeing delegations come, go, you understand the mechanism. What would you tell validators that are starting out now and looking for foundation delegations to avoid? What would you tell them not to do?
Yeah, I guess right now the most efficient way will be to get involved in new projects rather than trying to
testnets.
Yeah, testnets, because I mean, if you want to become a validator on Cosmos, it's complicated unless you have access to walls to really launch capital. So yeah, probably getting involved in testnets, in new projects, some of which will not yield anything, others that will be very profitable. I mean, like Celestia, Dimension. So yeah, I think that's the soundest strategy.
Let's go a little bit about chain selection. It's a topic I haven't actually discussed for a while properly with validators. What's your forget about starting validators right now. Let's talk about you. How do you guys select a testnet? What's your criteria when you come in? You see, somebody hands you out 10 testnets, right? I mean, you can only select 3. What would be the criteria you are looking first of all in those testnets?
Yeah, we've made it our philosophy, basically, from the start, to only get involved with projects that we are interested in, that bring value, that are special to us at least. We don't get involved in some stuff that does not, we don't like, we don't think it brings any value to the ecosystem. So typically, I'm not a fan of NFTs, like at all. There are, use cases like licenses, but for now, the only chain that is interesting to me that deals with NFTs is the new one, Story Protocol for the intellectual property. That's a decent use case, but all the financial platforms that are only doing just another iteration of an existing system, it's not very interesting. So we just focus on the things that we believe are worth it. Of course, when we also can get into them, because for example, DYDX, we would have loved to become a validator, but we tried, but we couldn't stay in the active set. So we validate a number of chains, and a lot of them we actually lose money, because they're not profitable. But we want to assist the teams in their endeavors, to try and help them achieve their objective. So, for example, there is one which is called provenance, which we have been validating for, I don't know, over 3 years now, and we haven't earned a single cent over it, because but I am confident that it will become really interesting, that it will achieve something of value.
What about something else apart from, there doesn't have to be something else, but I'm curious whether there is something else apart from an interesting product and curiosity, personal curiosity. Like, do you have, not necessarily, but do you have any metrics? Like, I don't know, let's say amount of developers, or I don't know, protocol, I don't know, development, or social metrics, or you guys don't go that way, like, and do hardcore metrics for selecting a chain?
No, nothing that complicated. It's more about a broad assessment, reading the white paper, looking at the social media, seeing how the team communicates, if they are available, if we can talk to them, or they will just a lot of people will dismiss anyone with like you're just a hobo asking for money, so it's there's a lot of parameters, but it remains it's not very strict, we don't have metrics.
Yeah, I understand. I'm curious because I noticed that I think chain selection, and it's such a widespread process for different validators, and I've noticed actually that sometimes you have smaller validators who are way more focused and make it way more difficult to select a chain, and then you have the bigger validators who are just validating whatever they come to validate. You mentioned at the beginning that you aspire, maybe a loud word, aspire, but you are looking at becoming somebody like the size of Polkachu. Why necessarily Polkachu? Why necessarily that size?
No, that's an example, but we really aim at becoming a bigger company. So when we started, really, we had a plan for the future, specifically to develop crypto in Switzerland, because we are in Geneva. When you see each morning in the traffic jam people that are driving, Audi's R8 or Mercedes AMG, you get the feeling that they may have a few, some money to put in crypto as well. So there is a really large amount of money, funds that we believe we could tap into, and bring that to crypto and make people realize that crypto is not just for people who want to speculate, or it's not just a larger Ponzi scheme. It also has actual value and can bring something to the general public. So, and there are use cases. I mean, in Switzerland, there is an application that allows you to make payments. If you go to the restaurant with the friends, you can just straight from your phone, let someone pay and just pay him back. You're sure, just with a click in your phone. It's easy. You just transfer Swiss francs, and I mean, we can absolutely envision something similar, but with crypto, just transferring tokens and that's it. Paying in shops. So that was I mean the plan, but we had to, with the Terra crash, we had to switch direction pretty fast. Try to be flexible, and the objective was survival for a while, and then it's still our objective, but probably in the next few years now. We need to consolidate our position first.
So would you say the the goal, the vision today is to adoption? Is that what you're saying basically for you, for the validator? That's where you're aiming, right?
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, I know it's. I don't think we're even close to this, but by a long shot. But I'm still hopeful that it will happen sometime.
How, in your opinion, do validators contribute to adoption of cryptocurrencies?
Well, making sure that the chains are working. Now, today, I think one of the main challenges is when chains are down because there is an upgrade, because there is a whatever critical issue that cause us to stop the nodes. I mean, if you imagine someone who pays in atoms or whatever token, and you're like, okay, well, I can't pay because the chain is down because we're waiting for Binance or Kraken or Coinbase to upgrade. And I think this is one of the main obstacles, really.
Makes sense. Do you think that there are other ways where that validators contribute to adoption, like by, I don't know, building tools or spreading, amongst communities the information about the chains? I mean, it sounds like those are also liable ways, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main issue, I think, is that as validators, we tend to be very technical. So when we think of tools, of system software, we design them based on what we know, what we want, what we like, which is usually not at all what the general public wants. So it ends up being overly complicated, or a great platform that will be used by 100 people monthly. So not great. And actually, this is what we aim at doing, trying to make it easier for people, for stakers, for holders to manage their assets and to keep an eye on them. Which is why I was mentioning earlier that Bruno can provide iOS and Android developers. That's because we actually are building a mobile application for users to get notifications directly on their phone, and just notification for all the chains that they follow. For example, being alerted when there is a new governance proposal in voting period, or when the team will share something of they deem important, an announcement, without all the usual noise. You are probably in dozens of Discord groups, Telegram channels, and you get hammered constantly with at everyone tags and that kind of thing. So this application lets you, really filter out the noise and only get relevant information. Plus, and maybe that's the main feature of this system is you can link a wallet, of your wallet, so you get alerted, notified on the phone each time an event that you selected happens on your wallet. So it can be your validator has changed his commission. That's something that's important. You have received tokens. Your tokens have been undelegated, or your validator has been jailed. And you instantly get the notification on the phone. And since you have decided what you want to be notified of, that every time that you get the notification, it's something important.
Sorry, it's called Steely, right? Steely?
That's it. Yeah. So it's still a very early version, and with a few chains supported. But we are actually, really working on this, making the UX better. We plan on adding new chains as soon as possible. So yeah, and surprisingly, this is something that doesn't really exist for the moment. I mean, there are other systems like Notify, but it's, you need to provide an email address, Telegram handle. I mean, Steli is absolutely anonymous. It's the Web3 privacy standard. So the association of the wallet and is made only with the physical ID of the phone. You'd never need to provide any private information. So it's a pretty novel application, I think.
Is it something you guys build in from scratch, or is it based on something existing like Web3 alerts out there? Is there something under the hood?
No, it's really from scratch. The backend is actually Java who designed it. So to be honest, it's well above my my pay grade. I don't understand anything basically to what he has done, but it's some kind of crazy indexer,
Last question about Steli. From me here, do you guys plan to open source it, or do you, the application itself? Do you guys plan to open source it, or is it no, or is it something that you don't think you're gonna do it?
Probably not. It's maybe actually we have discussed this. Maybe we could open source part of the backend, but since there is no connection to any wallet, you don't need to sign a transaction or whatever. So it doesn't feel necessary to audit or open source it, because assets are never at risk. It's just read only, basically.
Why, by the way, Cosmos? I didn't ask you. I mean, you mentioned, and it mentions it straight away on your Twitter profile, on High Stakes, on the website. It mentions that we are not just home at Cosmos, we are concentrated on Cosmos. So I'm curious, why only Cosmos, and why it started with Cosmos? Why it started with Terra? I mean, why not anything else?
Oh well, I mean, it's the proof of stake is what we went for initially, and well, I guess the Cosmos SDK, all the consensus mechanism just appealed to us, and we do have a very strong expertise on this particular software now. So all our infrastructure, all our monitoring, everything is really tailored for the Cosmos nodes. We are actually thinking of expanding to other ecosystems, but for now it's just a plan.
And you mentioned the goal of high stakes. What's Thomas's but what's Thomas's personal goal? Where are you heading with this? I mean, okay, the validator, I hear you. This is what you want to do. This is what you want to achieve. What does this mean for you? Why is it important for you in the first place?
Oh, I hardly think of this that way, but essentially, maybe building a company, hiring people, making allowing people to earn money thanks to the work that I will have put. But I don't. I'm not particularly interested in becoming a millionaire like you see all these guys on Twitter. It's more of the work, being participating into this grander scheme.
It's interesting because you mentioned again Polkachu and bigger validators, and like I said, we talked to a lot of validators over the last 5 years, and not only, but just on the podcast. It's been almost 5 years, and we were lucky to interview P2P, Stakefish 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. When they were all, and I'm always curious to try and see what kicked off what validators are doing today. For a lot of people, they I'm gonna try to make it into a question, but I'm gonna make it more of a statement, and then see if you have any like feedback for it, if it's okay. Like from a perspective of somebody who uses blockchains a lot, and consider myself like an active user, so to speak, and one of the biggest questions that I've noticed from fellow users is, okay, if I believe, or if I were to assume that blockchains are those digital nations, that we are all citizens in, then who are validators? And the first answer comes to the mind is like, they're one of the main entities, they're one of the main businesses. And then when you see a bull market, and you're in a bull market where, and we are a validator as well, so I can totally relate to that. Validators start to earn a lot of money, at least some of them, and even per hour, like a lot of money. And then the first question I ask myself as a citizen, where is this money going towards? Like, what are they doing there? What are they doing in their homes? And I ask myself those questions. So this is kind of like, I guess there is no question here, more like a statement to see what you think about with that. And like this is why I'm kind of asking, what is it for you? What is it there? What are you thinking? I don't know if you have any comments here or any feedback. So it was just like a general statement. Sorry.
Yeah, this is the biggest validators. They must do a lot of money, that's for sure. They also must have pretty serious costs, again, Polkachu, for example, with all the services that they provide, all these snapshots, it must be staggering. So we managed to keep our costs pretty tight, actually, because we could spend money and on everything, but it's not very sound for a company. We need to keep our cash flow healthy so that we can finance actually our further projects. In particular, that means hiring new people, and we would like to hire people in Switzerland and that's not cheap, really. So, it's a very common criticism that we hear from users that validators are earning too much money, are dumping the tokens in the market, yes, I guess that's partly true, but it's after all, it's a business like another. I mean, we're not a charity, so I don't really know any validators that are, we could say are malicious and are only interested in making money in dumping the tokens. There were some. I recall one was on Cosmos. Sunflower or something. No, they had raised their commission to 100%. That these guys are not in for anything else than the money, but to me, it's really a very small minority.
I have a question about your setup. I mean, considering, you are guys a validator, setups are a huge discussion on and off. Of course, they're not that actually huge because it's an on-off discussion, in different ecosystems. I guess, the questions of geographical centralization or cloud services, they come and go. In Cosmos, currently, I wouldn't say it's a big question. I wouldn't say so. I would say, though, in general, in Web3, it is now on the tongue of at least Ethereum, and what's your take as a validator? Of course, feel free to avoid any security I don't know, issues that might be appear from those answers, but what can you tell me about your setup? What do you guys use? Are you cloud? Do you self-host? What do you think in general about setups? And anything you can mention about that, please.
Yeah, but basically you can there are multiple options for validators, which range from using cheap VMs or Contabo or something to up to having your own self-hosted hardware, which incidentally was the case for the first Terra validator. So back in 2020, I think, which was running on a PC, running on Ubuntu at my brother's apartment in Geneva. So it was generating something like between, I think, $20,000 to $40,000 per month. And it was just sitting in his living room. So when I joined him, I was like, okay, no, that's a no-go. Okay. We move that right now, and we put up some monitoring as well, because that's not just, we can't do that. You need to, as a validation, you need to take into account multiple parameters, which are, the quality of the infrastructure, but also the cost. You can't. We could have just buy servers and host them in a bunker, an underground bunker in Switzerland, but that will be so costly that it will be unsustainable, and so there's no point. So actually, we have a mix of multiple options. Primarily, we use bare metal servers from different providers that are okay with crypto, because some aren't. So we always confirm in writing with the account manager that they are okay with us running blockchain software on the server. So we use LeaseWeb, OVH, Scaleway, and so on. For very minor chains, testnets, we do use VMs, and also actually at Etzner, because honestly, you won't find any better deals than Etzner, but only those that we know that we can move, rebuild elsewhere within a few hours at most, so long before the jail time. We have, strict monitoring, multiple monitoring systems with a ton of custom scripts. So, which works actually remarkably well because we do not get jailed, really. It happened, in fact, it happened once last year, I think, on Cosmos, which was very, very unpleasant because we were climbing the active set and we crossed the top N95 limit. And we had the stride node running, so it was okay, but we didn't have the neutron node. And since there was no alert system or whatever about that, one day we just woke up and we were jailed. So I just scrambled to start a neutron node and unjailed, and we refunded all our stakers with the loss. But that was the only event, really.
You mentioned multiple monitoring and a lot of self-written script. I guess at least personally for us for our validator, monitoring is I don't even know what to call it. It's something that takes a lot of time. It's something that doesn't let you sleep sometime, and especially my pregnant girlfriend, she loves the 4 a.m. wee alarms if something happens. That's her favorite. Well, what's your again, suggestion, not suggestion, if any validators right now or any to become or young validators listening to this, would you say to them, sorry, what not to do, or what to do in this particular direction?
So one thing that we tend to forget is we don't need to have us 100% uptime always. I mean, it's a built-in feature of the Cosmos node that you can be offline for a period of time and you don't get any sanction. No, there is nothing happens. You don't even lose rewards because it doesn't matter that you signed the block or not. You still get the reward. So we can be a little bit relaxed. And if there is downtime, what's important is that we don't, decide to all go in a weekend where there is no network for 3 days straight, not simultaneously at least. So we have multiple systems. We use Grafana with Prometheus, which is basic. We use Nagios, and I'm probably the last person on Earth that still uses Nagios, but I actually like it. It's old school and tons of scripts. So what they do is they alert us before anything, any problem happens. So, for example, if a disk on storage, on a bare metal server will run out of space the alert occurs long before it's critical. So I can be proactive. Nodes typically don't crash. Sometimes you will have a hash or something, but it doesn't happen really. It requires quite a bit of discipline, but it just works. We also try to not be offline too long, all of us, usually if I go to bed and I know that I have at least 8 hours, even if a node will crash right after I go to bed, I know that I will wake up and I won't be jailed yet. I will have time to restore the node. So the main flaw, the main problem that my wife does not like too much actually is that each time we go in vacation or in a weekend or whatever, I will always need to take my laptop just in case.
I can relate to that last part a lot, so I understand. I understand. You mentioned Steli. Sorry, Steli, the way to pronounce the notification. Steli.
Yes.
Thank you. Apologies for mispronouncing there. I also know you guys have one more tool. You have the point reward system called IBEX. Do you want to talk a little bit about it, because it's quite different from other validators?
So actually, it's a loyalty program that allows our takers to get extra rewards, basically. What makes it different from other versions of that exist already from other validators is that these points that we provide can be redeemed against Atom. So it's not our own token that we created or NFTs or whatever. It's actual magical money from the internet, So so there's a distribution mechanism that is based on quadratic functions. So it rewards people based on the USD value of all the delegations across our nodes. No, so if they stake, for example, 200 atoms and 300 XPRT and Inge and so on, it's the overall value that will be used to calculate their daily points. So this we put this in place maybe a bit more than 2 years ago, maybe 3 years actually, which was a kind of a last resort option because we needed to be in less danger on Cosmos in particular. Because, we were like 180 in the active set, so it was very complicated. So we put this program in place, and it allows us to gradually climb the active set. And right now, I think we are just 53 or something. So it's a lot safer.
Just to get it straight, when you say it allows you to exchange points for atoms, so basically a person earns points over time, and then they go, I presume, to their own dashboard, right, where they just exchange that for. Is there a certain rate where you got? It depends on what time the person has spent with you, right, from what you said, or?
Yeah, actually, so let's say, for example, if a user stakes overall worth I don't know, $1,500 across our nodes, so he will earn maybe 30 or 35 points per day. As soon as he wants, actually, he can redeem these points against Atom at a rate of it's an arbitrary fixed rate actually. One IBEX point. One atom is worth 1,000 IBEX points. So just you redeem on our website and you just get instantly. So it sounds like it's not much, but since it's a quadratic function, basically it's like the smaller validator, they get a higher a larger number of points than the biggest. So it's it's a bit of like a socialism, really. And so it can actually increase the APR quite a bit for a lot of people.
I actually want to back you up on that last sentence. We are building big tool which contains a staking calculator, and we were learned to surprise their not almost but all staking calculators don't include either own tokens, slashing parameters, and basically it's a very big gap and hole in that. It's very hard to calculate. I understand why. So yeah.
We do have a staking calculator on our app actually, which I did, and I agree that it's complicated because you need to take into account, the community tax, all those different parameters, including, the actual number of the block speed, and which varies. So it's a little complicated. But in fact, if you need some data, I will be happy to give you the algorithm. So.
Happy to talk about it after we finish up. Talking about resume, let me jump into Blitz with you. These are going to be 3 questions. You can answer them slowly, quick, up to you. Call it the Blitz, but it don't have to be like pam pam pam. The questions are going to be not about crypto, so this is kind of like to take us out of the conversation. Here we go. So first one. Give me either a book or a movie or a song that has a positive influence on you throughout your life or in the last years. I don't know.
Okay, songs. I will admit that
Could be or movie or song or book.
Yeah, no, I mean songs. I listen mostly to heavy or black metal. So
that's good. That's positive. I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you, brother.
Influence, I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know because I read books always constantly. So choosing one is I'd say that the writings of a US writer that was called Robert Heinlein was a science fiction.
I know exactly, yeah, of course.
And I've read his books over and over for 3 years. I think it has become quite old. Sometimes you read things and stands about women or something like, yes, that's not great. But yeah, I think that he has been a very important part of my development when I was a child.
And just again to mention to all the listeners, guys, girls, and everybody else listening to us, if you want to see any links, read about what me and Thomas are talking about, check out the show notes. And of course, it contains all of the links, projects, books, people, whatever we mentioned, it's all there. Thomas, back to you. So second question, they're going to get weirder. Give me something motivational that gets you out of bed every day and keeps you building, trying to, aim for adoption, build high stakes, and, carry on other things you do in life. Something motivational for you subjectively, of course.
Yeah, probably the monitoring alerts,
I love this.
I mean, that's and probably that's something I need to work on because it's not going to last forever. But each morning, the first thing I do is grab my phone and look at the alerts and see if there's anything urgent, and including on weekends or on the next day after a party where so I'm not in a great shape, but I still will wake up at 6 a.m. to check the phone.
Last one, and dead or alive, real or made up, could be a book, personage from a book. It could be somebody you know personally. It could be a writer, a developer. I don't know, the cartoon character. Doesn't matter. A personage that helps you to get through. But when you imagine when you're in hard times and you think about that personage, whether they are real or made up, it helps you a little bit to get over whatever it is you're finding hard to do.
Well, I mean, like pretty much any grown-up man, it's Batman, of course. I mean, awesome. when I'm a grown up, I want to be Batman.
I love this. Okay, Batman it is. I love this answer. Thank you for it very, very, very much, Thomas. I want to thank you in general for your answers and finding the time of monitoring alerts, of course, with a smile, and coming to answer, to talk. Please don't hang up just yet. This is going to be a goodbye just for the listeners. And for the listeners, thank you very much for tuning in, and see you next week. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. This content was created by the Citizen Web3 Validator. If you enjoyed it, please support us by delegating on citizenweb3.com/staking and help us create more educational content.